Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Last time around we had signs of a counter-offensive. Oh shit, they have two words, dang it! Signs of a counter-offensive, which I've been typing as one word this entire time. Well, although, it never, wanted to correct that. I would type out counter-offensive as one word, and I never got, the red squiggly line that tells you that you're an idiot. I never got that, so apparently counteroffensive can be one word, but they didn't have it as one word. Yay. Anyway, the gang with Al, Winry, May, Scar, and Dr. Marco, they figured out that Scar's brother knew about the countrywide transmutation circle, and then they figured out that they needed to flip it over to make a counter transmutation circle, which is interesting. Also, one of the guys ratted out the gang, and so Envy is on their way to deal with that and kill Dr. Marco and Scar and everything. So, well, maybe not even kill Dr. Marco, I guess, but yeah. Anyway, meanwhile, Hohenheim managed to get to Lior, and he actually encountered Pride down in the tunnel, and realized that Pride cannot go past the tunnel, basically. The tunnel and Central City, so yeah, that's interesting. And yeah, Hohenheim had his declaration of war. Speaking of declarations of war, Drachma has declared war on Amestris and is now attacking Fort Briggs, which is a problem. And there was nothing of Ed, so we don't know what's up with Ed, where he ended up with those two chimeras, but we'll have to see. We will definitely have to see. But yeah, that was pretty much it. So, like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Here we go. Should go ahead and write down Al Hohenheim. Is it I before E in Hohenheim? Or is it E before I in Hohenheim? I don't know. Damn, I wrote down a lot of shit today, apparently. That is a lot of notes for Full Metal, I must say. Alright. Well, interesting stuff in this episode. Another episode without Ed. That is very, very interesting, but, I mean, he's probably resting. He's probably going to be a little bit before we see him again. Oh, well. So, yeah. Yeah. Good, interesting stuff. So, first off, we had a scene between the Fuhrer and Hawkeye, and that was an interesting moment, I will say, where, everything, because he is the one that's different, At least I'm pretty sure. As far as we know, he's the one that's different from all the others, because while, yes, we see Ling being turned into a homunculus, being turned into greed, at the same time, he then became greed. Greed took over the personality, Whereas with Bradley, I would say he still had a lot of his, personality, his individuality, but I imagine it just faded over time, It just sort of melded, he is not just Wrath, but he is also Bradley. It just sort of mixes together. So, when he talks about, everything was, appointed to me, basically, it is interesting because, yeah, he did have a life. He was a human, and the others don't really have that, They were just created, but he was somebody. He was a person. But I do like that, in all of that, where everything was appointed to him, the one and only thing he got to choose was his wife. And that's really interesting. Because, well, yes, seeing him, I'm immediately dismissing him like, oh, well, good for fucking you. Get out of here, you bitch. You know, just because you hate him. You obviously hate him, you know? But that is an interesting thing, that he chose his wife, meaning Wrath must have had enough human emotion in order to fall in love with somebody, you know? Or maybe even just that he did, you know, just chose someone, you know? But I don't know. But that is an interesting development. Everything else was chosen for him, but he chose his wife. That's very interesting. Okay, so I am so glad that what the hell was his name? Zarbaldibald? I don't remember the fuck his name. But I'm glad that he wasn't actually a turncoat. That was a way to lure Envy there, and I like that. So that was very interesting. They lured Envy there, and they used remote alkahestry as landmines. I love that. I just love watching Envy just getting tossed around by ice. That was really funny. So yeah. And honestly, just because it's Envy, and I really, really like Envy, you know? Like, of all the homunculus... Of course, now, there goes Envy. There goes Envy. We already lost Lust. We lost the original Greed. Gluttony we haven't seen in so long. And now we finally got Envy back, only for her to, you know, get her shit wrecked. And now she's headed back to... now she's off to Shing, you know? I get the feeling that's not the end of Envy, but I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, but that was really fun. That was a fun fight. And then, you know, of course, Envy goes into her true form. But I love that Dr. Marco fucks her up, you know? With a specific transmutation circle embedded into his hand. Now, I don't know if we've ever seen Dr. Marco's hand before. Like, if he's... But I would imagine he just did that, you know? For this plan to lure in Envy, he just did that so that, you know... Because he knows he's the one who's going to be captured. So he has to be the one to destroy her, you know? So that was great. Now, watching Envy melting is disgusting, you know? And, like, look, I like Envy's, you know, normal human form, honestly. Like, I don't know, there's just something about it, like, because she's always got that crazed look on her face. She's buff as shit. She's buff as shit. I don't know, there's just something, I don't know, I really like her human design, alright? But man, seeing it fucking melt and shit, oh, it was so fucking disgusting. And then we got Tiny Envy, and that was just, I mean, that was hilarious. That was just fucking hilarious. Like, oh, this is Envy's core. It's just this tiny little Pokemon-looking fucker, you know? So that was really funny. I like that. And I love the bluff when, like, she starts to take over Yoki, and then nobody cares. Nobody cares. But then it's like, oh, that's the bluff in order to, you know, capture Envy again, put her into a jar. So that was funny. But yeah, I mean, honestly... do any of them really care about Yoki, you know? I don't think they do. So yeah, that was really funny. I enjoyed that. And obviously Yoki wasn't bluffing. He legitimately thought that they were like, oh, no, we don't care about you, you know? Poor guy. But that was funny. And yeah, we got Mini Envy, which was just hilarious, you know? And so yeah, we've got everybody going there. Separate Ways. Somebody turn on Separate Ways by Journey. But yeah, so Scar, he doesn't want to destroy this country. He wants to change it. He wants to save it, basically. And yeah, I like that the Miles' words have gotten to him, you know? And yeah, honestly, if you want a great example, like, this is such a great, like, redemption arc, basically. Like, this is very, I mean, it's kind of a Zuko sort of, you know, redemption, villain becomes good now. But honestly, it's different because you always... I mean, well, yeah, you always understood a character like Zuko. But Scar, he was always sympathetic because his whole thing was the Ishvalan genocide. That doesn't make it good what he's doing, but it's always been an interesting thing. So now seeing that change in him is really interesting. And now he wants to go and change this country, So I like that. And May is going to be returning home with Envy to hopefully save her clan. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they're going to, what can they get out of Envy now? I mean, maybe they can get some knowledge out of Envy, but I don't know. It's just sort of a strange thing, But yeah, I don't know. But she's just gonna take a homunculus back to Shing and just hope for the best, I guess. Plus, I would assume that in that form, that means pretty much the last soul in Envy's Philosopher's Stone is there's just one, Perhaps her original soul, maybe, or whatever was the original soul in it, I assume that's the last one, and all the others have been used up, which is also part of Gluttony. Gluttony had used up all his. Lust, definitely. Roy, I mean, at least that's what I'm assuming, is that with every death, they basically burn through a soul in order to stay alive. And they have so many. So, Roy, when he killed Lust, means he literally burned through all of those souls. Gluttony had the same thing, but that, at the very least, there was a little bit of gluttony left, and so Father took it back within himself, But Envy is down, presumably, to her last soul, the last bits of power of the Philosopher's Stone. Enough to keep her alive in this form, but that's about it, Presumably, if she was still with Father, he would, retract her back into himself. So, but I don't know. But yeah, so May is going home, which is interesting. Oh, I was looking at this note. I was like, why the hell did I write down Greed? Who was Greedy? And it's like, oh wait, that's because of the dude. I think he was like a lizard or something, and so he was one of Envy's crew back in the day, and so now he's going to follow all the way to Fuhrer Bradley so that he can find Greed, which is interesting, but it's not going to be the same Greed. Not the same Greed at all. We also got what we've wanted for several episodes, which is a meeting between Olivier and Alex Louis Armstrong. And that was funny because, yeah, they are such opposites, But I like that she honestly doesn't like him, Like, oh, this pansy, basically, Because, yeah, he is. I mean, he is super buff, but he is, he's the sensitive flower, Whereas she is the fucking gun, So I like that. I like that meeting. And it's also interesting too because she also said that I don't consider him a brother because he deserted the army. I mean, it sounds like he deserted the army during the Ishvalan War, which, I mean, yeah, it's like, it's like, well, you understand immediately why he would have done that, because it's the Ishvalan genocide and he didn't want to be a part of that. But yeah, she doesn't respect him because of that, which is interesting. He deserted his post. And then we also got a bit of the true problem with human transmutation is because somebody could make an army, and looks like they have made an army. I mean, I suppose it makes sense that if anyone is a master of human transmutation, it's Father, And that's the thing too, is that because we have seen one successful human transmutation, and that's when Ed literally transmuted his own body as well as Ling and Envy's bodies too, out of the false portal within Gluttony, So a human transmutation, the problem is, the reason it was taboo is because nobody could figure out how to revive the dead. But that's not the point of a human transmutation. The human transmutation is either to is either to transmute life that already exists, or it's to, I suppose, to create new life. And that's what they did with this army. So that's some shit. And that was fucking creepy as shit, you know? Just all these upside down fucking bodies. Just, ugh. I don't need that. And the last thing from the after credits scene is Al going to Lior and meeting up with Hohenheim. And yeah, we haven't seen the two of them together. It's only been Ed, and that was... How long ago was that? That was quite a while ago, if I recall. It was Father Before the Grave. That was episode 20. Because that was just after... that was after Roy versus Lust. Yeah. So that was episode 20 when Ed met up with Hohenheim. And this is episode 43. It's 23 episodes later, and now Al is meeting up with him. That's fucking crazy. So yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll definitely be interesting, but maybe they can talk, maybe they can team up. I don't know, man. You have a common enemy, like, fucking team up. Oh well. We'll have to see. We will have to see. But yeah, really, really good episode. I really enjoyed that. Kind of sucks that we may be losing May and Envy, at least for a bit. I don't know if they come back. I feel like Envy will have to come back. And by extension, I would assume May would come back at some point. Hopefully. So, but we'll have to see. But that is basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from Scimitar Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around to any of those. There's a playlist for all my Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.